Okay, in question 3 we have a load, so this is our load, and we don't know the mass of the load. So let's assume that the mass of the load is m kilograms, which means its weight is just mg. And we're told that as the load moves downwards at a constant speed of 2 meters per second, well, if it's going at constant speed, it means that the acceleration is 0. Okay, the tension in the cable is 6,000 newtons. So here we have the tension, and the tension is 6,000 newtons. Now, by Newton's second law, we know that the overall force, so the resultant force, is equal to mass times acceleration. But if the acceleration is 0, then it means that the resultant force must also be 0, which essentially means that the force acting upwards, the 6,000 newtons, must exactly equal the force acting downwards, in other words, mg. So the tension is equal to mg. In other words, the weight, or mg, so the weight, or mg, in this case, must be 6,000 newtons. So what we're now told is what's the tension in the cable when the load is moving downwards at 1.9 meters per second. So same sort of idea. In this case, here we have our load. We know that the weight acting downwards, we know that the weight is 6,000 newtons. Everything has now changed though. The tension is now going to be something different. And we're told is that the acceleration downwards is 1.96 meters per second squared. Now we can use Newton's second law again in a downwards direction. So we're going to use Newton's second law in a downwards direction this time. So the resultant force downwards, or the 6,000 is positive, the tension is negative, and that will equal the mass, which is going to be something we don't know, the mass multiplied by the acceleration, so 1.96. Now, how could we work out the mass? Well, we know that the weight, we know that mg is equal to 6,000. In other words, the mass of the load is going to be 6,000 divided by g, in other words, divided by 9.8. So I can now use the fact, so if I just go back into this expression here, I know that 6,000 minus t is equal to 6,000 over 9.8 multiplied by 1.96, and I'll leave you to finish it off.